I'm going to go ahead and cue the overlay graphic with the countdown. Here we go. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Stephanie Weaver, and we're going to go ahead and get this kind of out of the way. I am now a brunette. Yeah, that kind of happened this morning. So in the pursuit of trying to go with the flow all the time, I'm no longer going to battle my hair. So this is me, and I'll have to get new headshots and all that other stuff, which my good friend and artist, Neville Simpson, who you've got to check out his photography. He's going to be doing my headshots again. And actually, he's the one that did all my headshots that you see on a website. So brown head again. So I think this one's going to be here to stay because, like I said, I'm trying to go with the flow, and I'm not going to battle my age anymore. I am going to be 46 this year, so yay. That's 46 years above ground, so I got to celebrate that. And so if I get a couple grays, darn well, I earned it. Okay. So that's the hair. So the hair story. So if you feel me on that and you are going with the flow, or if you're going with I want to use my hair as expression, I would love to see that too. I know there's a lot of folks out there that view their hair as an expression and an extension of themselves. And you know, if you're hopping in here for art business tips, don't worry, we're not talking about hair. Okay. So today what we're talking about is the artist revenue streams. And we're on part 2 of a multi-series. So part 2 of a multi-series about artist revenue streams. So I see lots of people kind of popping in. Go ahead and give a shout out and a thumbs up, an artist revenue stream. And I'm also interested in what revenue streams do you currently have in play? So those could be like maybe you've got an Etsy shop, maybe you are in an art store, like, around here we've got Alabama, there's something like Alabama Goods Store. You've got in downtown, there's some stores. So if you are in and doing some artist revenue streams, go ahead and pop those in. Maybe you're licensing your artwork. Maybe you're doing surface design. There are so many ways of distributing your artwork and earning additional income. And that's what we're focused on in this series, is all the different revenue streams. So I'm going to pause for a second and actually take a look at the chat and see what's going on. And we are live both on YouTube and Facebook. So with the system, I should be able to see comments from both sections. So feel free to pop in what revenue streams that you are using today. And I'm going to pause and take a sip of coffee while you answer. Best wife. Yeah, that's me. I bought this mug myself too. Okay, so you guys are quiet today. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and get started. And then as questions might pop into your head, go ahead and pop those questions into the chat. And this live stream will also be available not only of the replay from Facebook and YouTube, but will also be on my website along with the transcript without all of the, like me talking about my hair, type of things. Hey, Dawn, nice to see you. So the replay is going to be available on my website, stephanieweaverartist.com. And then also on the stephanieweaverartist.com, and I'll share this screen with you right now. You're going to see this. So it's called Artist Business Tip, Art Business Revenue Streams, Part 2. So within that, well, that's handy, isn't it? All right, so I'll have to have people look at that. So, but anyway, right there, art business revenue streams part 2 will be a post that has all the details about, and that's got me bugging. That's bugging me. There it is. Okay. Don't know. It's one of those things. It's like somebody tells you, oh, it doesn't work. And then you go prove it and it does work. So that's what's going on. Anyway, so the replay is going to be here along with your homework assignment. And so the homework is a downloadable that you can grab right here. You enter in your name, address, and an email will be sent to you so that you can grab the homework form today. All right. So also one more thing before we hop into it. Next week, we will have a guest speaker. His name is Barney Davy. Barney Davy is author of multiple art marketing books. And so he's going to come on to us and really kind of talk a little bit about, not a little bit, I had a meeting with him that was an hour long, but it lasted 3 hours. So I don't plan on the presentation to last 3 hours, but he is a wealth of information and it's going to be extremely valuable for all of us to meet next week. Same bat channel, same bat time at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, 12 Central. And the replay will also be available on my website. But Barney Davy is going to be joining us next week and talking a lot about, art, living as an artist and what it kind of means and some things to consider as you have that challenge like we all do of living life, work, and achieving your dream, that balance. So to register for that event, you're going to go to my website, click on events, and it's on the 16th, Positive Painter, same bat time, same bat channel. But if you register, that way you're going to get an email reminder. Okay. So that's what we have going on. And I'm going to stop talking. And we're going to go right into this week's video. And I did pre-record the video so that we can stay on topic and on task. And this week's topic again is revenue streams for artists, part 2, with a handy dandy workbook for your requirements. And so that'll lead us into part 3, which will be the week after next. All right. Again, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat as we go along. Here we go. In the last part of this series, ways artists can create additional revenue streams, we discussed the 2 types of revenue streams. You have the sole effort, number 1, and the second is the collaborative or the contractual effort. And you were given the homework to write out your base requirements for what you envision your future self to be doing in your art business website. Those requirements will be the foundation on which we build what you actually need. Now, as I mentioned before, this is advice I wish I would have gotten years ago, but no one broke it down in actionable steps. And all I knew is I wanted a website and prints sounded like a good idea. But in fact, it was a freaking really great idea and it's so much easier nowadays. But before we can start selling print, there is one step that we need to figure out. And that is what type of website builder is best for your art business. If you don't do this step, you will create more work for your future self. And that's what we are going to discuss in part 2 of creating additional revenue streams by selecting the right type of website builder for your art business. So get ready. Here we go. Welcome, I'm Stephanie Weaver, artist and founder of the Positive Painters online creative community, coming to you with art business tips so that you can gain focus and action on your art business. This week's episode is brought to you by the Positive Painters online artist community. The Positive Painters community is a place you can grow your art and your art business with fellow artists who have been in the trenches and know what it takes to grow an art business and create fabulous art. You can join the Positive Painters for less than the cost of a cup of coffee and gain access to a community, monthly art motivations, and so much more. Join today at stephanieweaverartist.com. In this part of the series, Ways Artists Can Create Additional Revenue Streams, we are tackling the very first revenue stream that you should create, which is a website that has the ability to sell your artwork and plan to sell prints. Now, I categorize the types of online shopping cart providers, which is essentially what you're going to be doing, websites, into 3 categories based on what kind of shopping cart provider and whether the type of print-on-demand provider integration they have. And those 3 types of shopping cart website providers for artists are, number 1, a solely hosted website, number 2, the specialized artist website builder, and number 3, the marketplace website. Now, what's the difference between a solely hosted website versus a specialized artist website builder versus a marketplace website? So I'm going to start with the solely hosted. A solely hosted website is where you create the website using a website development platform like WordPress, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, Square, etc. Think of the solely hosted website provider like you're building the car of your dreams from scratch, right? You're going to start with a car frame, which is a standard website template, and you're going to start ordering and customizing the car parts to meet your style, functionality, and taste. Solely hosted websites have a great deal of functionality. WordPress is by far the most flexible. It also, by far, requires the most technical knowledge. You may need a larger budget depending on the bells and whistles that you want to add. Like a car, the more bells and whistles that you add, the more maintenance is needed, which also means more time and money. WordPress is not for the faint of heart, but for the strong-willed who doesn't mind learning technical aspects when needed. So let's go back to the car analogy. WordPress is where you get a frame, you pick a design to build the car, you select the engine to run it on, which is going to be your hosting service, and then start adding the interior leather seats, decide on automatic or shift, all the fun things to drive your business website. If you have long-term aspirations of a single platform with online classes, licensing your artwork, selling prints, selling originals, blogging, online community, Etsy integration, then a solely hosted website with WordPress would be a great place to start. So you want to start small to understand the environment, select a pretty theme, and build over time. I've included a link in the show notes to a great article about hosting your own website by a website builder expert. Okay, if WordPress sounds a little bit overkill for what you want, let's consider the questions I asked before that hopefully you did in homework in part 1, which is to define which is more important to you. Is it consistent website look or more time to create? Is it maximizing your profit or more time to create? Is it getting to know your clients or more time to create? So if you don't want all the bells and whistles and flexibility of a WordPress site, then a more easy to use option are available with providers like Wix and Squarespace and so many more. The Wix and Squarespace are like buying a car that was designed for the average person. It's any type of business. It's not art specific, but any type of business. So if we go back to the car again, designed for any type of driver, and then you select the upgrades that you want from a predefined menu of options. Now, I've included some links in the show notes on some hosted solutions for you to evaluate based on your personalized requirements. And that's like the Wix versus Squarespace versus WordPress. And I put in 3 different articles so that you can take a look from different perspectives. I strongly encourage you to take a look at from different perspectives and pay attention to if it was sponsored by that organization. And just a special note, there are other platforms out there that you can use that specialize in creating online communities and online classes. So if those are key decision makers for you moving to WordPress, but you still want the requirement of having more time to create versus having a consistent look and feel, then those might be a good option. And we'll discuss that in an upcoming part of this series. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. We just covered the solely hosted website provider. Now what we're moving to is the specialized artist website provider. So if you'd rather own your own website but use features that allow you to sell prints and products, blog a little, and that was designed for artists' needs, then a full package solution like art storefronts, FASO, Smug Mugs, Infolio, Shopify may be a good option for you. Now, if you go back again to that car analogy, that specialized artist website provider is like you have a completed car in front of you that is designed specifically for an artist, and you get to choose the upgrades and then take it for a ride. I have personally used art storefronts for 2 years before I decided to move to WordPress because I wanted one platform to house classes, community, and art, and their platform just couldn't handle that the way I wanted, and I had to go to third parties to get these additional features. So I chose look and feel over my time. But I most definitely recommend art storefronts, and this is not a paid endorsement or anything. As a former software developer turned manager, I can tell you their support documentation and setup is by far the best I'd seen. And their art marketing tactics are just spot on. And again, this is not a sponsored post, but I was seriously impressed. And I can also say, if I didn't have the desire to help the next generation of artists, I would have stayed on their platform. Using a specialized artist website builder has many perks besides purchasing and picking upgrades and then just driving. They also include things like art marketing tips and tricks. They have support community forums that are all with artists. They allow you to own your own content, and they also have a more guided service. So it's kind of one of those things, you get what you pay for. With specialized artist website builders, their features do have, like everything nowadays, different pricing levels, which allows you to grow with your art. Now, as an FYI, when I financially compare the options between the solely hosted websites versus these specialized artist websites, what I noticed is that the monthly budget is about the same. It can range anywhere from $10 to $50 a month. And so art storefronts, from my experience, they do charge an initial setup fee for their environment, and it feels pretty hefty, I'll be honest. But for what you get, it was worth every penny, in my opinion. But it really does come down to what you want your future to look like with your artwork sales. All right, so we've already covered the solely hosted website, and we've talked a little bit about the specialized artist website provider. The last one we're going to talk about is the marketplace website provider. Now, a marketplace website provider provides all the marketing and print-on-demand aspects on your behalf. You can also sell originals and oftentimes have some blogging ability. And when we think about the car analogy, this option is, here's the car, now drive. Marketplace providers are the sites like Etsy, Zazzle, Redbubble, and so on. I've included some links in the show notes that break down some comparisons of like Redbubble versus Zazzle versus Society6, Etsy versus Amazon versus Shopify, and so on. For this particular option, there are quite a few options, and from my perspective, the least expensive, least time consuming, and probably the most extensible to grow with is Etsy. So Etsy shop with print on demand vendor as an extension that we'll talk about in another part of the series. But the base Etsy shop costs less per item and has a transactional fee. But if you want to do even more with the Etsy shop, you can get then the customized solution, which is Pattern by Etsy Web Page Builder. Pattern by Etsy Web Page Builder allows you to create a nice web page with a blog, a contact page, an event page to tell people about workshops and online events, and it integrates with MailChimp. And this is for $15, and they don't even charge transaction fees, and there are no listing fees through Pattern. And MailChimp, we're going to talk about that in April. So April, we've got scheduled a lunch and learn that you can register for free and attend. But if you aren't able to meet that or attend that, or maybe you're listening to this after it's occurred, then Positive Painter Pro members will be able to listen to the replay of email marketing, which is MailChimp. In the show notes, I've included a link to that event for you to register. If Etsy shop is the way that you go for your website, then you might want to also check out a Lunch and Learn recording on everything you need to know before you set up an Etsy shop. Again, something I wish somebody would have told me before I set one up, and that's why I did it for you guys. And this also is available to Positive Painter Pro members and included in the membership. And no, this is not a paid endorsement from Etsy, by the way. So some other marketplace website providers that you might want to look at include, Zazzle, Redbubble, Saatchi, Society6, and Fine Art America, and I'm sure there's probably another dozen more, but those are the top ones that you hear about most often. And I'm going to throw in a little bit of my personal experience here, and you can, again, I encourage you to look at other sources here. But based on my personal experience, I would not recommend Saatchi, even though it is one of the top ones that they do. And the reason why I say that is I used them for a little bit to try and sell originals and then also prints. And they actually tried to sell one original 2 times after I closed my account with them. And when I contacted them to tell them my account had been closed and provided proof of the emails, they then explained to the buyer on behalf of me that I decided not to sell, which I only found that out when the buyer found me through Etsy to see if the original was still available, which, in fact, it had actually sold, and they decided to order a print from me. That was 2 times that Saatchi did that. And I just did not like them representing me with lies. And you can see it ticked me off big time. But again, I would encourage you, that was my personal experience, do the research and figure out which ones work well for you. And I want you to make the choice that feels right for your car to drive your business. And just to kind of wrap this up, and this is definitely a little bit longer than our previous parts of the series, but you can see there's a lot to think about in this. But let's think about that car again and compare it to the list of your requirements. Do you want to build the car from scratch? Get one that is built but has some features you'd like to have? Or maybe one that's specifically designed for your type of car needs? Or do you just want to pick a car and drive? In an upcoming Lunch and Learn, we're diving into website must-haves and considerations. You can register for the free online Lunch and Learn scheduled for March of 2021 in the Positive Painters online community. In this interactive session, website designer and creator Rachel Harshenko from Social Media 360 will be talking with us about what you need to consider for the website. To register, go to the show notes and click on the registration link. Now, if you are viewing or reading this part of the series after March of 2021, you can become a Positive Painter Pro member and gain access to this and so much more. Now, your homework for this part of the series of ways artists can create additional revenue streams is to review your requirements and see which category of website builder would best meet your needs. I've included in the show notes a link for you to download the list of requirements by type of website provider: solely hosted, specialized artist website, and marketplace provider. This will help prepare you for the next step in this journey. In the next episode, we're going to cover the next sole effort revenue stream, which is to sell print on demand with hosted providers. So be sure to register for the upcoming Lunch and Learns, and don't forget to do your homework and download your website provider checklist. Until next time, stay safe, happy, and healthy, and happy painting. I was on mute. Okay, so welcome back. And I hope today's session was very informational and that you go and download the workbook. And I'm actually going to show you that workbook right now. So I'm going to pull that up. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. But your workbook, and this is the second workbook, is requirements, alignments, and evaluation. So to kind of give you guys a little bit of history about me, and as we kind of go through this, back in the day, I used to be in software development. And as part of that, we would define our requirements before we would actually select anything and before we would actually build the whatever needed to be built. So that's what I'm asking you to do, is build your requirements, know what you're going to build, and then we go and build it type of thing. And what that does, it's like if you think about building a house, you're going to start with your plans. You need to know how many bathrooms you're going to have before you start putting in the piping. And so that's essentially what we're doing. We're defining our house, and then we're going to start building it. So in this part 2, requirements, alignment, evaluation, and let me go back to part 1. In part 1, you kind of evaluated what is important to you. And so you're going to take that knowledge down into part 2, which is now let's actually start defining where your wants and your needs go into the total solution. And you'll see there's like a nice little, you'll have to print this out and kind of turn it to the side, but there's like an evaluation of like an online shopping cart. You'll notice all 3 provide those things. And where things start getting a little bit questionable is based on your desire for your future self, as well as your comfort level with technology and how much time you actually want to spend on it. I mean, you guys saw in the very beginning of this particular episode how I got a database error on my website, and I'm like, okay, great, now I got to go fix that. So I have a very high-tech environment, and thankfully I have some people that I work with to handle some of that for me, because but yeah, so you can see here where you might fall, and then with that knowledge, then you can start looking at these specific areas like solely hosted website providers, artist website specialties, and then website marketplace type websites. So you can look at those, and then I'm going to stress, do not invest in one just yet. You've got one more step to go through, and we're going to take a break. Like I said earlier, we're going to take a break next week from these artist revenue streams, and we're actually going to talk with Barney Davy, who is written about 5 books or 6 books about art marketing. So he's going to be a guest next week, but do the homework. So you've got basically this week and next week to evaluate which one best falls for you, and evaluate whether that budget or technology meets your needs. And then the following week, we're going to dive in a little bit more and specifically talk about how to integrate with a print-on-demand vendor based on your solution. And I can tell you kind of a precursor here. If you do select the specialized artist website provider as an option, you won't really need to do the week after next, because the print on demand vendors with these guys is already there. You don't have to do anything. And like I said before on the recording, those things are usually at an additional fee. So just do the homework. Don't buy anything yet. Don't make a move yet. We're building the requirements before we build the house. Okay. So that is your homework. And if there are any questions, please pop those in. You've got me live. I'm actually going to say hi and everything. And be sure to also register for next week and the following week so you can get those handy dandy little email reminders. And this week, another reminder, we have a lunch and learn with Rachel Harshenko. I mentioned in the show 3 things every artist needs to sell online. This is going to be part 1 of a 3-part series. She's got handouts. Very, very, very knowledgeable lady who talks about and actually builds websites for people. And I know she charges anywhere from $2,000 and up to build these websites. So you don't want to miss it, guys. Okay. All right. So I don't see any questions so far. So either I overwhelmed you or I answered them all. So again, if there's any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at hello@stephanieweaverartist.com. If you're in the Positive Painter community, which you can be for less than $5, it's only like $4.95, less than a cup of coffee. You can join the Positive Painters and this wonderful community of artists, because if you have the question, somebody else has the question, or they have the answer. It's a great thing about being around people of like minds. Okay. All right, so that's it, folks. Until next time, you stay safe, happy, healthy, and happy painting. Bye, guys.